Okay, I could see that. The conversation today basically centers around Generation Z and a lot of the talk that is going on around generational shifts, people joining the workforce, the workplace, businesses, economy. How do Gen Zs impact this? What makes up the typical Gen Z person? What are their characteristics? And a lot of the questions that people ask around who Gen Zs are, what makes them up, what makes them tick, how do they act, what influences their consumer behavior, and a lot of these things. So that would form a huge part of the conversation myself and the panelists will be having today. We would, of course, state a few truths, dispel some myths and misconceptions around Gen Zs, and we'll take a few questions as well. And that would pretty much wrap up this session. Okay. Great. Make it the guest panelists are here. Welcome, Abiola. Welcome, Ferdy Adimefe. Thank you very much for taking our time to join. For those who do not know who the co-hosts are, I'll definitely do an introduction as regards who both panelists are in a few minutes. Both of them are amazing intellectuals. Trust me, they are revolutionizing the creative space, digital payment infrastructure space in Nigeria, as well as Africa and the world at large. Okay. So I don't know if, okay, yes. Abiola and Ferdy, good afternoon.
Hi, Idris. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here today.
Good afternoon. Thank you for taking our time to join this session.
Yeah.
Ferdy, your mic is on mute. Could you want to unmute yourself and say hi, say hello to?
Thanks for having me, Idris, and glad to be here. Looking forward to an exciting afternoon.
Definitely
To learn as
promises to
much
be.
as to share.
Sure. Okay. At this point, we might just get into it. So I'll start with you, Biola. Do you mind doing a brief, 1 minute introduction of yourself, just so our candidates, and sorry, my bad, participants have a better feel of who you are? Then Freddie could go next.
Hi again, everyone. I'm so excited to be here today. My name is Abiola Showemimo, and I'm HR and admin lead for Paystack Payments Limited. And I also lead the employee experience team, which is the team that has to do with HR and everything people. So, yeah, thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you. We're glad you could, spare some of your time for us. Freddie, do you want to, you're a popular person. If people has reached out to me to say, oh, Freddie's on your call, Biola is on your call, I'm like, yes, they will both be joining the session.
All right. My name is Ferdy Adimefe. I describe myself as a creative entrepreneur. I basically play in the media, entertainment, and technology space. So I work with a lot of millennials and Gen Z in creating products, in building apps. I run an agency as much as an animation studio, and I also run an incubator where we build products. So it's been my journey. I enjoy building things, and I'm also passionate about Nigeria. I'm passionate about nation building, and I'm also passionate about innovation and faith.
Great. That's a huge load, but definitely would get into some of it before the day runs out. Okay, on a lighter note now, what did you guys make of the banter that was happening, a few days ago on social media between millennials and Generation Z? What was your take on that, Biola?
I found it really interesting because the distinction between millennials and Generation Z in reality is not as much as what the banter was. Banter made millennials look like really old people, like people you would ask on the queue, are you the last? And
I see, I'm not the
and not the
last in
last in
Jesus'
Jesus'
name.
name. I don't think that that's what millennials would do. But it was really fun to just see that there's now awareness on millennials and the characteristics of the Gen Z.
I agree. Freddie?
Well, I think these things are healthy. They are part of how we find social data. Sometimes you get into the mind of the people in the conversations. like I said, from my own observation, I know quite a number of millennials who behave like Gen Z in terms of their consumption pattern.
Sure.
I mean, for us millennials, we saw the transition into social media, we saw the transition into the world of tech, but the Gen Zs were born into the world of tech. So they don't go on break, they live there. And of course, their own social media apps are even more interesting, from Snapchat to TikTok. And a lot of the millennials are stuck on Instagram. They haven't moved very well into the other world. I mean, I personally, I tried Snapchat. The TikTok thing is a little bit of a. I was like, okay,
I can imagine. I can imagine.
Showing I hope
At some
not.
point, it will definitely tell. I mean, so before we get into it, so just as a means of definition, Gen Zs to our participants and our attendees who do not have an understanding of who Gen Zs are, they're typically people born between 1996 and 2009, 2010. So typically your oldest Gen Z will be about 25 this year, those turning 25 or 25 already. And the youngest will be about 11, 12, 13, in that age range. And everyone after that generation or that cohort, I mean, Generation Alpha, that's an entire new conversation in itself that we wouldn't be getting into today. So Ferdy, you had mentioned how, you work with a lot of Gen Zs. What would you, top two dynamic characteristics of Gen Zs, what do you think they would be?
Well, I think that these are people who are, from what my own experience, they are people who are big on learning new things. So every time I come to the office, they are talking about a new tool, a new method, and they are always on YouTube, right? So, I mean, for us, our model of learning was pretty much structured around the university, but for them, the YouTube have replaced that experience for them. Learning has become a part of their experience. I mean, they would rather watch a video than read a book on a level because it's faster and quicker to consume. So I think that I see that curiosity to learn as part of the ability. I also appreciate that I'm also seeing a sense of a lot of them are very social conscious. When we talk about trying to create things, if you find a way to make that thing about something of impact, you're likely to also capture their attention. But I think I'll just stick to those two since you asked for just two.
When you mentioned education and YouTube, Biola, you smiled for a minute. Was there something you were going to raise?
I mean, I totally and absolutely agree with Ferdy. Yeah, it's a generation of people that prefer to watch videos than to get stuck in a class where lecturers will bore you with a lot of things. Gen Z is also a generation of people that are comfortable with technology. Like in the workspace, right, there are a generation of people that when you introduce new tools, they really have no issues with it. You really don't need to do a lot of training to get them comfortable with all of those new inventions. They are even suggesting all the new things that you're supposed to already use, right, as an employer to you already. So I would say that they are comfortable with technology. They are also a team that are entrepreneurial minded. And I'll make emphasis on a show like Shark Tank, right?
Sure.
Shark Tank is the kind of show that encourages a lot of Gen Z people to start their own businesses. It makes them think a lot more, unlike people from other generations that feel like, I mean, you grew up in a family where your parents are already telling you need to wear a suit. When you graduate, you need to dress corporate and go to work and work with somebody. But this is a generation of vibrant and young people that are looking to develop the economy, that are looking to make the world a better space by being entrepreneurs in different aspects.
Thank you for that. Yeah, something crossed my mind whilst you were just speaking, and I guess that the reason why, one of the reasons why two things, they are that tech savvy, like Freddie had mentioned earlier. Millennials and generations before noticed the development of some of these applications, social networks. But for Gen Zs, that is their reality. They grew up understanding everything is one click away. How would you explain to someone who grew up with that to say, oh, at some point, there was some point when, computers were this huge, or you couldn't use this, or computers would slow down for a minute. And as you mentioned again, as regards, information learning, YouTube, I would say that this generation will definitely almost be by far one of the most educated generations in a while, because everything, the internet is a huge library of information. There is nothing you're looking for. How to cook egusi, you find it. How to learn digital analysis, data analysis, you find it. Digital skills, everything is literally, I mean, at the palm, at the reach of the palm. So
Yeah.
that works.
In addition to that, you find that a 6-month-old baby nowadays is already waving and saying hi during a video call, right? I remember during our time or older generations, because I really want to farm Gen Z now. I remember during our time, right? You weren't even allowed to touch your parents' phone at age 10, right? So being born into technology is also a really, really great value that has helped shaping how Gen Z thinks about things.
Thank you. So, I mean, quick one, Biola. So as a function of the role, I mean, you play for a digital disruptor like Paystack, how would you describe your own experience so far, I mean, working with Gen Z, and I mean, your role creating employee experience for them?
I would say that it makes it a lot easier because, like I said, it's a generation of people that are already nudging you to treat them the right way. It's not a generation of people that are waiting for you to think for them. They want this, they want things to go a certain way, and they're forward thinking. They're able to come up to you to say, this is what should happen. This is what you should be doing for me as an employer. So in my experience, right, and in creating good employee experience for people like Gen Z, we when we conduct surveys, right, at Paystack, we try to also use the age thing, right, as one of our metrics in order to see what we can do better. And we've been able to find a lot of common macro trends among like Gen Z generally, and a distinction. And we're able to also come up with ideas that would really help these people grow. Because one of the major things, two things that I see that are important to Gen Z, I'm sorry if I'm generalizing
No, of
and
course.
maybe wrong, is that they are really, really financially focused. They are not the kind of generation that wants to be committed to an organization because of whatever reason. They just want to know if you're ready to pay the bills. Like, what are you giving me? What's the compensation? What's the benefit like? Does it make sense? Do you have the right technology? Am I going to grow in your organization? You find out that Gen Z people, when they're in school, they're already learning French, they're already learning how to code, they're already learning different things. They have a YouTube page, they're already doing different things. They've learned digital marketing, and then bringing all of that as an entry-level person into a workspace. And then you now want to treat them like their entry level, like the regular entry level. So what that has made us realize, right, from an employer perspective, is that you need to prepare more for these people. You need to actually have plans and not just promises. You need to have plans that would help them grow. You need to be able to compensate them appropriately for the actual work they are doing and just make the workspace a better place for them.
Thank you. Thank you. So Ferdy, quick one. I mean, you operate a creative company. So I'm sure, I mean, that falls into an industry that has a lot of sentinels. What would you describe as the biggest misconception people have of Gen Z? Your mic is mute.
Okay, many people actually think they are distracted, or maybe a typical Gen Z is not very focused, but that's not been my experience. And maybe again, because my own experience is between the technology space and the creative space. So I get to meet a lot of more progressive type Gen Z. So I again would hold that this might not be the complete representation, but the people I meet here are very focused. They're giving to growth. Like Abiola said, the terms of engagement for Gen Z has to change. A lot of them are coming into companies. If it's a startup, they want to give themselves to it. They're asking, do I have stock options? Now, stock options were not conversations our parents were having. Were not even conversations for most millennials. They just wanted to earn salary. But a lot of this Gen Z want to see how they can be part of something to build. Interestingly, yes, a lot of them are entrepreneurial. So this is posing a challenge for digital agencies and creative companies because you also have to be an entrepreneurial company to attract the entrepreneurial type. Right now, they also have a big tech advantage. They know how to read into the tech crystal ball to see where the future is going and want to be part of that future, right? So I think it's a challenge. Every company has to embrace the digital culture and that can allow for them to thrive. And that is something that we as a company, we've also been trying to do. For instance, in the animation studio we run, quite a lot of things are required. You're competing with international companies. You want to produce stuff that can be exportable. And how do you incentivize them? Because typically, a lot of them understand that if I go freelance, I just might be able to pay my salaries. But again, the idea is not about the money equation. You can solve the money equation, but you can also solve something bigger. You can solve the value equation. The reality is that while you have everybody playing freelance, there is that aspect, but not every industry can thrive on freelance culture. Because one, you have to build something that is scalable, exportable. You have to come together as a team, right? And quite a number of them are people who are learning how to be a team player. When you're shaped by dating apps, when you're shaped by YouTube, when you're shaped by all the different propositions that you're your own person, you can do your own thing, it can be very enticing. But Nigeria in itself is a bit of a hostile environment. For every 20 startups, you just have 2 surviving. So you understand that it's not just about running out because it's attractive to be your own boss. There is a process of growth and preparation that can allow for you to become more successful. So a lot of them are looking for companies, in my own experience, who can help them develop in line with what they want to do and the business they eventually want to settle into.
Thank you, and thank you for that summation. I mean, Freddie, it's obvious. It's what we see now in the workplace. There are certain, principles or ideals that wouldn't just cut it anymore. You think that, I mean, say 5, 10, 15 years ago, you'd have people who just want to work and they just want to focus on just one skill. Oh, I'm an accountant and that's all that there is to me. Or I'm an HR person and literally that's it. But these guys are thinking they want to explore the totality of their essence. Okay, this morning I'm feeling like this and that works for me. But tomorrow morning I might be feeling, okay, you know what? I want to try my hands on that project. I want to try my hands on this project. Then you tie them down with old recessive ideas of what work is, and the job itself is designed to fit people who should have retired. You can't keep them because, I mean, they're agile, they're forward thinking, in their mind, they're thinking, this is bureaucratic, this is unnecessarily long and hostile. Why do I have to tie my youth, quote unquote, to an organization that isn't progressive?
I think there's something else we also have to keep in mind. Most times, the definition of careers are changing. I mean, back in the day, when you talk about somebody being a career person, it's about maybe he's practicing something for 20, 30 years, and we applaud him for a long time service.
Give him a plaque at the end of that time frame.
We live in a disruptive world. You are likely to find that one person is evolving every 5 years. And it's not because they are bored or they are not focused, it's that the technology is demanding we reinvent ourselves with the changing times. So you might find yourself doing this. The next moment you're a content writer. The next moment you're a researcher, curating an app. The next moment you're a product design person. And there are new industries that are emerging that I also recommend for a lot of the Gen Z here to consider. Right, globally, there's a scarcity of people with artificial intelligence experience, and we have AI products we want to build. We have people with data skills that are being in demand all over the world. So the reality is that our universities are still churning people for careers that are no longer relevant for a new world. So every Gen Z person is aware that they have to take their own destiny in their hands and craft their own curriculum because the tools are there, and begin to pathfind their way to a sustainable and successful career. A lot of them are international in terms of their orientation. They can work anywhere in the world, sitting here in Nigeria. Most of them want to earn dollars. They don't want to earn naira. So as companies, we also have to match our expectation. If not, we're going to lose the best talents to the rest of the world. So that's a challenge I'm also dealing with as an entrepreneur.
And that, I mean, whilst I hear you speak, Ferdy, and I think something else that, buttresses your point is the fact that a huge chunk of the curriculum in our Nigerian universities, I mean, if I would be precise, is outdated. Mm-hmm. They can't compete in 2021. Bella is smiling. They can't compete in 2021 with content that should have been archived 15 years ago. I mean, people are not learning the right skills in universities anymore, and that's a huge. The technical skills in itself insufficient, soft skills non-existent. How do we now build global citizens with archaic content.
Mm-mm.
So Biola, quick one. I mean, the composition of, say, today's workforce, with Gen Zs, millennials, Generation Xs, how do you think that organizations, down here, can properly align all of these generations to get the best value at every point in time?
Alignment, that's a really big issue, right? It's a really, really big issue, especially for organizations where you have like from the traditionalists to the baby bloomers all the way down to Gen Z. Like these people want different things. These people are looking out for different things. How do you then build an employee experience, like a general one for everybody that captures the needs of everyone? I think it's very difficult, and I know that this is a major challenge for a lot of entrepreneurs and HR leaders, just trying to find the best way for all of these generations to come together and still enjoy themselves. However, I also feel like just understanding what is important, right, for each of these people from different generations. Like I said, the Gen Z, they're very, very particular about growth. They really want to grow. They really don't care about staying in an organization for 10 years out of loyalty, right? They just want a place where they're adding value to the world, where they're able to express themselves skill wise. They're able to, like you said, lay their hands on different things and acquire new skills, right? If you find that you need to do a survey, it's very important to do like a survey of the workforce. What's the highest percentage of this generation in your workforce? Then you tailor your policies and your general employee experience to ensure that a big chunk of your experience and your policies would really, really suit this particular generation. If you have a lot of millennials, or like maybe a little percentage or maybe 50% of millennials, you also tailor your experience and policies to ensure that these people are also getting the best. If you have the traditionalist, you ensure that you have policies that would also make sure that these people are having the best experience at work.
Thank you for that, Biola. So if I hear you correctly, my key takeaways from that would be two things: bespoke initiatives create what fits each generation that you have in the workforce, as well as an audit of the policies that you have to
Yes.
to reflect modern current realities.
Yes. I'll give a real life example. I'll give an example. In a workplace, right? There are people that still really love to go to work in person. There are people that believe working remotely means you're actually not working. So if you have a company of people, a percentage of people that belong to that school of thoughts, it's fine, right? They can come to the office to do some work. If you also have a percentage of people that believe in remote work, you should then also come up with policies that would support remote work so that you're catering for the two generations. Do you understand what I'm saying? People that really want to come to work to do physical work, that's fine, you can do that. And then you create an option to work remotely, which is what millennials and Gen Zs would definitely jump at.
Thank you, Biola. Quick one, Ferdy. Unemployment rate right now about 43%, which is alarming. And I know that the creative industry that you play in, contributes about 3 to 4% of the country's GDP. How, in your opinion, do you think that the government can help harness the economic potential of Gen Zs?
I think government has to prioritize the creative industry because a lot of the Gen Z are people who are already equipped with the tools to create. I remember the last time the Lagos state government tried to tax creative content and there was a backlash because the reality is you're taxing when there is no policy to empower. I do think we as a country, we need to come together to develop a creative innovation policy. We don't have one as we speak. About 30 years ago, the Chinese government created the policy of creative imitation or reverse engineering, and they had all this manufacturing stuff going on around the corner. What they did was to invest in R&D and standardize their manufacturing capabilities, took what was a comparative advantage and made it into exports. Today, they are the biggest export country in the world, but it was the policy that drove that. So we need our government to really get into that idea. I've been part of the Nigeria Economic Summit Group, NESG, and a lot of these conversations have been in the works, but translating that from the technocrats into the policy that government can drive is missing. Again, we don't have a proper mapping of the creative sector. So there's a sense that there is a lot of value, but it can be structured in a way that can be scalable, right? So we do need to map our creative sectors, and every country has the right to map it according to their own understanding. For instance, in the UK, they did not identify comedy as a creative experience or a creative industry. But in Nigeria, we know comedy is a big space, right? In fact, all these skit content creators are coming. So that you cannot just take that which is applicable in the UK and bring it to Nigeria. You're going to experience the disconnect. So I do think we need the creative agenda policy. We need to map our structures. And then when it comes to financing creativity, the government needs to do a lot more work in that area. For instance, there's the creative fund that the CBN is sitting on. But that CBN, they're talking, quite frankly, they don't.
Hello?
They don't understand this industry. Okay. First of all, you're telling young people who just started their business to bring collateral. You cannot collateralize an industry that you have not even built. And if you really want to empower the industry, roll back all those roadblocks. Don't keep them in the wake and tell them, get this thing to get on. So I do think that that's one area we're facing major roadblocks in access to capital, access to funding. I mean, a lot of the smart ones are now being able to structure, like what we're doing in our studio. We're structuring because a lot of the funding we need will come from abroad. I mean, we're celebrating Paystack today because of Stripe and the other companies that were able to see the future. But there are many other potential companies today who are not finding that opportunity to access funding. And we don't all have to go to Y Combinator to get the opportunity to scale what we're building. The government in and of themselves should be able to provide, it should be our first Y Combinator, right? And the average Nigerian is very entrepreneurial and driven, but we need an enabling environment. The government has to do that. It comes with policy, it comes with trade agreements, it comes with strengthening our IP laws. Today, a lot of the creative products we're creating, there's still a lot of IP deficiency. Our IPs and our patent laws, it takes too long to make them. They're not even enforced in many cases when there are IP infringements. We see it all the time, but we need to, for creativity to pay, we have to protect the creative, whether it's music or entertainment. We must find ways to add value or pay for those things so that the creatives can earn. All the guys we watched growing up in Nollywood, now we have to crowdfund to help them take care of their health. You see them every time we have crowdfunding, please save him, give for his kidney, give for his lungs. And you're thinking, they built an industry. Where is there no fallback plan? What about their royalties? Are they earning from these things? Right? Even in the studio we're working on, we have an entire royalty scheme for all the animators that are going to be working with us, all the creative people working with us. And it's not just something they do and go away. It's something that they will, for the rest of their life, be happy to have been a part of. So long as that product is making money or that movie is making money, you're going to earn from that. I think companies have to start thinking in that agile and smart ways. So agile and smart is not just in terms of optimizing your processes, but it's also about keeping up to changing times to ensure that the benefits that will come to the employees or your community of workers will also keep them safe and secure in a safe environment like Nigeria.
Thank you for that, Ferdy. I mean, a few key takeaways for that. So I think that beyond all of this, there is also a big or a huge infrastructural problem that the country has that has its hands in several things. So you mentioned, for example, crowdfunding to take care of medical bills for some of the legends we knew growing up. That also ties into another industry in itself. You think about the health space and a lot of the mess that's going on right there. That's a huge problem in itself. We do not also have credit histories, for example, in this part of the world. So that also makes, for example, funding very hard because you cannot tell ROIs, you can't tell, how do you get your money back? Because we are not used to the idea of, people or a society can run on credit. If you use, developed countries or developed world as an example, a lot of the things that we assume are huge benefits of living are decent things that everyone affords or can afford on a day-to-day basis because the society is built in such a way that royalties get paid, there is a credit structure that people live on, and that makes it easy for them. Now, an interesting dimension to Gen Zs, millennials, and a lot of generations alike is the issue of mental health. Now, that could be driven by anxiety, depression that social media or social networks cause, because everything requires your attention at every point in time. Someone is feeling happy, they're putting up a tweet. Someone has just seen something, the video is going up on Instagram. Someone just experienced something, they're talking about it on Clubhouse. Now, this in itself, could make people anxious, express depressive tendencies. How do you cater to, mental health of employees, Biola, in your organization?
Okay, that's a very big issue, right?
Sure.
Mental health. What we try to do is we're very deliberate about, and I think employers should be very deliberate about making the workplace a safe space. Because, like you rightly said, the world is hard enough. A lot of hardship here and there, a lot of things happening. Like Ferdy said, the government is not empowering people enough, is not providing infrastructures and the necessary support for the creativity of Gen Z. So you have a business idea, you're trying to push it, and there are government policies and regulatory policies that are just frustrating your efforts. You're going on social media and you're seeing different things, and yeah, depression is real. So it's just about for employers to be extremely deliberate, right, about making their workspace a safe space, right? I feel like employers should also, thinking about mental health, should also provide like um, psychological personnel, like just provide access to all those people so that if there's anybody going through anything and they need to talk to an expert in that field, they can also like talk to these people. Um, in the workplace, right? You can also be depressed in your workplace if you're working with in a kind of organization where you're where you're where you're not properly appreciated, you're not properly recognized. You're just putting in all the effort and nothing is coming out of it. That can also cause depression. So just identifying the skills of people and being deliberate about ensuring their growth, ensuring they're well compensated, ensuring that the value they are bringing to the business is properly recognized, ensuring that everybody in the workspace, right, treats each other with mutual respect, ensuring there's no discrimination, ensuring that you treat issues concerning harassment and time, just being very intentional about making your workplace a safe space for everyone that works in a company.
Thank you, Biola. Ferdy, what do you think, given the nature of your work, is the future? What's the future like for Gen Zs in Nigeria, in Africa? What would you say? How would you describe the future for the Nigerian Gen Z?
I think it's promising, but I must actually say the percentage of the Gen Z people in Nigeria that are data natives relative to the larger population is actually very insignificant. So there's a sense that we are very Lagos-centric. So we think that when we think of Nigeria, we just think of Lagos and the young people that we meet. So quite a number of them have access to technology so they can create. And I keep saying that the proliferation of new skills requires that most of them are likely to always have jobs, right? Because you have to just keep, for those who are able to fast pace and then keep learning, they will do that. My question is, what about those who may not be on that speed lane, who are not catching on just as fast with technology? As a society, what do we do to bring them up to speed? Ideally, education could have helped, but we're not seeing that our education pace just as much. The pace of innovation in the global world is way ahead than the pace of innovation, even in our economy, and even much slower, even in our education. So there is a bit of work to do there. But the typical Gen Z, I would say the future is bright. If you take your own learning into your hands, there are no job security, but there will always be skill security. And that's one of the major shifts. If you have a good skill, you would always have a job, but you just can't have job for job's sake. I also think what is even important is we all may not necessarily be entrepreneurs. So the whole obsession of starting up and becoming entrepreneur, owning your own business may on one level become exaggerated. We should be open to collaboration, to partnerships, to building, whether with small or big companies, we should be able to partner to build them. So don't be caught up in trying to the ego drive of owning the company for the sake of having a name like a CEO, but be more committed to creating something of value. If that vehicle means you have to create one, do that. If the vehicle means you have to partner with others to create it, please do that. If it means you work to do that, please get a job with the company you want to support and do that. But at any point in time, that you're fulfilled in what you do is very important. And I also want to add to what Abiola said. It's important for companies to create policies within the space where people can actually enjoy themselves while they work. Gone are the days when bosses are rude, unkind, and mean, and it's all about the bottom line. I think you're going to lose Gen Z if you're all about the bottom line. It's not because they don't care about the bottom line, but they also care about their state of health as much as they do the bottom line. So you must also create that opportunity for them to get access to therapy, not when you think that they're depressed, but let it be part of the cultural policy that even in your company once a month, people should talk about how they're coping with the pressures of life and how you can provide access to these emotional counselors for people who might be going through this. There's a lot of mental health issues that are misdiagnosed or even ignored in Nigeria, but people are dealing with a lot of that. I think companies can really, really take this to heart. Mental health is an epidemic in Nigeria, I must actually say. And I do think that our laws are not catching up just as much, but companies that are forward thinking will be able to do that. Work-life balance is also very important. You need to find out, but what I keep telling people, work-life balance is more a rhythm than a split. Right? It's just finding what works. It's not one size fits all. Some people are good at working at home. Some are good at coming to the office. Some people want to do evening work. But every company must try to be dynamic and smart enough to accommodate all the intelligences and to cater to all the creative energies of the people at the same time.
Great submission. So, I mean, there are a few things that, stood out for me: work-life balance, mental health. Some are arguing currently that, work-life balance is gradually fading out and you're thinking work-life blend, because it seems more like everything you need is within reach. You get your emails on the go. You could do anything you want. You can order for anything you want on your phone. You could have meetings on your phone. You can pay for anything on the phone. And it seems like, oh, you know what, beyond even just the balance now, it's finding that right amount of mix to ensure that people still have a decent amount of space and time that they could call theirs, because the lines are totally blurred now. People send emails at 2 a.m. because, hey, I just woke up at that point in time, and I'm sure you're in your house as well. I can shoot that email out because, hey, you're definitely going to read that. So for you, Biola, if you were to, advise any Gen Z person currently in the workforce or about to join, what would be the top two, advice you would give this person, whoever that person is now?
I would say, first advice, I would say, invest in yourself, right? Invest in yourself. There's so many resources out there that you can use to equip yourself. Like Ferdy said, talked about having lots of skills. Like you can't run out of skills, right? So just take the advantage that you have right now and just invest a lot in yourself. Acquire as much skills as you can, because that's the only thing that would make you stand out anywhere you go, right? There are lots of people that sit here in Nigeria and they freelance for a lot of international companies and they have a good life. Like they're able to add value to different industries just because they've been able to acquire the right skills. So don't stop. Things keep evolving every day, right? Just keep adding more to your skills, keep acquiring the right skills that would work for you, and I'm sure that you'd get the right placements that you need.
Thank you. To also buttress that point, Freddie had mentioned something around collaboration. If I could advise a Gen Z person, it would be, you can't totally move, the needle of the world all by yourself. Reach out to people, find a mentor, find colleagues, find people who might be on the same life journey as you at a particular point in time, and share experiences, share ideas, share knowledge, share time, share resources. No one has really ever moved everything or anything all by doing it by themselves. So, you know what, I'm the best at this. You're not particularly that great. There are a lot of people who are willing to make your journey easier. There's some comments.
I would also add that travel a lot, travel to a lot of places so you can see a lot of things and add to your knowledge.
I think that, traveling, like you mentioned, broadens your horizon, your outlook of the world, your outlook of a lot of things. once you stay confined to a particular space, the totality of your experience is centered on what you know or that space that you've been. Like Ferdy had mentioned earlier, we think, oh, Lagos only, Lagos centric. There are a million and one things going on in Bauchi, in Kaduna, in any other place in Lagos, in Nigeria that you're not even thinking of. Their realities are different across several places. Thank you so much. I mean, someone is a nice question. Okay. Someone is asking a question. I don't know who would respond out. I mean, I'll let either of you decide. Majority of CEOs that are baby boomers don't understand this concept of work-life balance, mental health, and the likes. How do we make them understand? Ferdy, what's your take on that before I hear yours?
I think if you work in a place where the CEO is not in touch with the changing times, it's important to engage with the HR team. At least there is a channel where those things can be cascaded to him or sort of like, yeah, cascaded to him. And it's important to also get the other members of the company who are also Gen Z to articulate what work-life balance will look like. Like I said, a lot of them were raised in the world that no longer exists. They were raised in industries where all the rules are changing now. So a conversation is important, push for a policy, and I think a lot of Gen Z people are bold enough to even demand those things. They will talk about, we need to have, we need to have. So you need to also engage, but the more important, you spoke about work-life blend and not necessarily work-life balance because everything is woven into one. Now, I do think that sometimes it's really about learning. We don't practice solitude and contemplation enough, and I find it very, very, I do a lot of meditation, and I think for me, it's therapy. You know, if you don't do a lot of that, meditation rather than medication, we're a very medicated society where the first thing you think about is what drug is going to work for me now. I do think we need to start practicing these things. This art of meditation is it's such a gift to our mental sanity, right? I'll recommend that as much as possible. It's not just about taking out time from work so you can do other things. It's about taking out time from other things and work so you can actually recover and have time to restore and refresh and revive. So if the other activities are opposite of work, then we're not resting. We're just replacing one activity with another activity. And it's really about pulling away from activity so that you can actually find room to allow yourself to recover, refresh, revive.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Abiola.
I agree with what Fred has said. You have to be very, very intentional about your work-life balance because you may say you're taking time off work, you're taking time off emails, you're not doing all of that, but then you're really, really involved in other things that would also take your time and not make you rest. So you need to actually take time, be deliberate about taking time off work and the other things that stress you out, and just focus on being refreshed so that by the time you're getting back to work at the other things, you have a fresh mind to contribute positively.
Mm.
Okay. Thank you. Ferdy, whilst was speaking earlier, he said something about finding that balance with your HR practitioner or professional in the organization. What do you think HR practitioners in 2021? What skills do you think HR practitioners should learn?
Is that for me or for Freddie?
Yes, it was for you. It was for you.
Me? Okay. I mean, in 2021, or let me say 2020, or new generation HR, we're moving from the traditional HR and we're moving into people operations that focuses a lot on employee experience. So rather than thinking of the employee last, right, you employ an approach that makes you think of the employee first rather than thinking that employers are doing employees a favor by hiring them and paying them salaries. You think of it from the point of view that employers actually really need these employees. The employees are the ones bringing in their skill sets and doing a lot for the organization. So from an employee experience point of view, the same way you want your customers to have a really good experience with your product, right? That's the same way you should consider employee experience. So the skill of employee experience, putting employees first, thinking of employees first, even if the CEO is thinking about the business and making profits and all that, the HR personnel should think about the employees and be deliberate about giving good employee experience. That's how I think that traditionalists that are CEOs can get past the stage of practicing the traditional HR. Just hiring HR professionals that has the skill of employee experience.
Thank you so much. I mean, I don't think we have any more questions. It's been great having you, Ferdy, Abiola. I don't know, any final words to employers, the government, Gen Zs, or participants? What would that be, your parting words?
My closing shot will be, if you're a Gen Z, the world is yours. There are a lot of possibilities. Don't limit yourself. Give yourself to learning new skills and the jobs will come. And where you can't find the jobs or find the opportunities, create them. You already have the factors of production. So long as you have data, you have a laptop, you have everything you need to conquer the world. And for companies and the co-CEOs who run companies, I would say we have to keep in touch with the changing times. And like Abiola said, employee first, to come up with a company and a digital policy that can actually create a safe space for people to find it fun to work and to co-create. And let's also keep eyes both on the health of the people as much as on the bottom line. I'll say to the government, we are way behind in terms of policies that can drive and open up our space. I think the government should reverse their ban on cryptocurrency, if you ask me. It seemed like an irrelevant conversation, but the reality is that it's a Gen Z way of trading and saving money and investing. So a lot of the young people today who have used this medium of financing to create jobs for themselves, our government's first response to something they don't understand is not an outright ban, is engage with the people, get the education you need, come up with constructive policy that can regulate it, not in a way to kill it, but in a way to enrich and empower the people playing that sector.
Thank you, Ferdy, and thank you so much for your time. Abiola?
Okay, my advice would be to employers, right? The newest members of the workforce, the Gen Z, they're taking over and they're super talented. And I would say that we need to be very intentional about retaining this talent. We need to step out from the traditional ways of doing things. We need to learn more about this generation. We need to understand what drives them, what keeps them going, and what's going to retain them, right? So that we don't keep on losing talent to other countries of the world that already understand these things and are already dragging our people. So yeah, and to Gen Z, like Freddie said, once you have a laptop and internet, you can really do anything for yourself. Don't stop, just keep on acquiring skills, keep on meeting people, travel a lot if you can. Yeah, just don't lose your voice because the voice is really, really important and everything will work out fine.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much, for sharing. Thank you for your time. We can't appreciate you enough. At this point, I know my colleague Timmy will be joining in now to have a quick presentation. Timmy.
Thank you so much, Idris. Thank you so much, Abiola, for that presentation. It was really, really good. I don't know about you, but I was taking notes while the presentation was going on because I picked up some really good things myself that I had not learned before about Gen Z. I would say I'm a Gen Z myself, so it's really awesome to hear people like Ferdy and people like Abiola coming up with initiatives that really set us in the workspace. Really nice. Thank you so much. I'd like to remind everybody on the call that there are top jobs on Jobberman.com. So if you've not been using the platform to search for jobs, now would be a good time to actually do that. We have a lot of amazing opportunities right now on the platform, and simply, I know one of my colleagues would be there in the chat to drop the link where you can actually sign up on the platform and you can just start searching for new opportunities. The next opportunity awaits, as I like to say. So now we know that Jobberman has been in the recruitment space, the HR space for a little over a decade now, and we've developed some really great HR and recruitment solutions that address the day-to-day challenges of recruitment and also ultimately improves business processes and business productivity. So one of the new initiatives that we just rolled out now seeks to reward employers, and the employers here seeks to reward employers that refer other employers to make use of the platform. Now, the way this works is that if an existing employer on Jobberman.com refers another employer to make use of the platform, both the referring employer and the referred employer get 54,000 naira worth of value in skills assessment credit. Now, if you are a little bit confused about what I'm talking about, in a minute or two, I'll be sharing my screen to show you what that is like. Let me know if everybody in the meeting can actually see my screen.
I can, Timmy, you could go on.
Okay, that's great. So as I was saying, this is like a loyalty program that we just rolled out that is really rewarding to every employer on the platform already. So if you are not on Jobberman.com as an employer, now would be a good time to do that. So basically, I'm just going to be taking us quickly through the steps that you need to take to actually like benefit from this initiative. Really, they are just simple steps actually. Please, if you have any questions while I'm doing this demo, you can call me back and I'll be glad to answer those questions and reservations. So the first thing you need to do basically, if you're already on the platform, you just need to log into your employer account. Once you are logged into your employer account, it takes you to your dashboard page. So this is what a typical dashboard page on Jobberman.com looks like. You see where you can actually post a job for free, can actually manage jobs or manage your product. Now, to make use of this feature, all you need to do is scroll down to the refer and end widget. So here, you can actually copy a unique referral link. This link is one-time generated link, right? It's like the link that I use to invite other people to come to make use of the platform. So you can simply copy this link and share with other employers, your colleagues, that are also employers in other places. You can share with them on WhatsApp, or you can choose to share with either of these preferred social channels, right? So let's say, for example, I want to share using Twitter because I have a lot of my employer friends on Twitter. I can simply click on the Twitter icon. And so a message is actually generated, a message is generated and you can actually just share it directly. So once you share, the referred employer or any other interested employer. So this is the message, right? I would like to extend this opportunity to you to sign up on Jobberman.com. This message is editable. You can actually edit this message if you want to add a little bit of flair to your messaging. And if you feel like it's good this way, you can just shoot the message on your Twitter, and it will be visible to, of course, everybody in your following you, right? So if any other employer is actually interested in this, they can actually click this link and it registers for you in the backend as you refer that employer. Now, there is a series of things that the employer has to do. That means the referred employer for you to be able to benefit from this. So the employer that you have referred needs to actually sign up using that link, right? So for example, if I were to go to the link that I just shared now, if I were to click the link, it is going to take me to, let me just copy that and put that on another tab. So it's going to take me to the Jobberman sign up page where I can actually sign up as an employer too. Let me just look out here. So once it takes me there, I can sign up using that link. So this is how it will look like when you share your referral link with other employers. The employer that you referred will have to fill all this basic information, their personal information and their company information. And once they are done, they have to click submit, right? So when they submit their information, it registers for you that you referred this person, and automatically the person that you referred gets a free skills assessment credit worth 54,000 naira. Now, this person has to actually make a purchase on the platform for you to be able to also get your 54,000 naira worth of skills assessment credit. Now, if you don't know what skills assessment is, it's pretty much easy, right? So if you post a job on the platform, we have a feature that you can actually add a skills assessment to your job, right? So what this does is, the skills assessment is a collection of tests, right, that have been created by experts, right? So these tests are an excellent predictors of a candidate's ability to perform on the job. So the benefit that you actually get by adding this skills assessment to your job is, number one, it saves you a lot of time and a lot of stress in your recruitment process, because you can easily filter with the test scores. So you can create a benchmark with a certain score and say, I want to only interview candidates that have this amount of scores, right? So that saves you a lot of time and also helps you filter out candidates that don't fit the profile of your job, right? And also helps you avoid incurring the cost of a bad hire. We all know that some candidates actually misrepresent themselves on the CV. The skills assessment can actually help you take care of this, because each and every candidate is actually tested if they actually fit the job profile, the job description that you actually put out. So you as a referring employer gets to also get this benefit when the person that you have referred actually makes a purchase of the product. Now, to actually track how that looks like on the platform, if the person that you have referred or the particular stage that the person that you referred have, you can actually go to view your referrals on your ATS dashboard. Let me just log in again to see that. So when you click view your referrals, it takes you to a particular page where you can actually see the people that have actually signed up. People that have actually signed up via your referral account. The people that and the stage in which they are in, right? So for example, I know that this particular emotion test has signed up with my referral link, and I know that they are still awaiting verification, right? But I know that this person has actually been verified, and this person has received one credit, and this person has actually paid for an order. So in this particular situation, Hoffman and Levin traders have actually been referred by me, and they've paid for an order. So they've gotten their free skills assessment credit worth 54,000 naira, and I've also gotten my assessment credit, as I can see here too. So I can pair this assessment credit with any of the job listing product that I have on the platform, whether it be Pro Recruit or Executive Recruitment or Best Match product that I actually like paired or used with the product. So it's actually very simple to make use of this feature, and it's actually really, really rewarding, right? You get to have something really valuable to actually help you in your recruitment journey. That would be all from me, Idris. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Timmy. Thank you so much for that quick demo. I'm sure, our employers would find out that this is an initiative that helps them get the best talent to work for them at any particular point in time. We could wrap up the session now, but just before we do, I would like to say thank you so much to our panelists for taking our time to have this session. Thank you to the participants as well. I hope you've learned a few things. And I also hope it was worth your time and it was insightful enough. Do enjoy the rest of your day and have a great weekend. Thank you, Abiola. Thank you, Ferdy. Thank you, everyone who joined the session. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye.